Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper. So today we are gonna get right into it with FMLA.
Yeah.
So many times I have to represent a member where management is just thinking they can do whatever they want. Management really doesn't know FMLA, and they just think they can do what they want,
They
right?
don't. And honestly, like the last person you want to ask about FMLA or basically anything when it comes to this company is a member of management. Because they're
Absolutely.
not only do they not have any business knowing about what our rules are for that kind of stuff, they also like they're not incentivized to tell you the truth. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, it gets bad. I mean, I had a situation the other day, member called and said, "Hey, they're making me I need FMLA, I gotta be off at a certain time." And I was like, they're like, "Yo, you have to take a full day." I'm like, "Nah, the hell you do." You can take it since we're in a company that does, hourly and, broken down into minutes. You can take it in minutes.
yeah,
I mean, you can take it whenever you need it, but you are allowed to take a half a day because on the Hartford website, it even says full day, half a day, or whatever time you need,
yep.
right? And what you needed when you put it in. And I said, just come into work. I got this. And I spoke with the supervisor, said, you can't, oh, he has to take a full day. No, he doesn't. And I looked at her and I said, no, he doesn't. And, he's allowed to do this. He's allowed to take it in increments. He came in, they wound up working him, till when he needed. And, you know, it's just crazy that they say those things. And so if you want federal FMLA, you need 1,250 hours, have to work in the company for at least a year.
Yeah.
So, but what happens is if you don't have those hours, they'll right away deny you. But what they don't tell you is there's UPS FMLA if you have 625 hours. So they'll deny you your federal and it'll come into the manager. Oh, you were denied this and that. No, 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 no. Hold on a second. I still got my UPS FMLA. And I recently had to explain that to my manager. This is the way it goes. I said, there's no, and he appreciated me, telling him, hey, this is the way it goes. They're denied maybe for federal, but it's not necessarily for UPS FMLA, which is half the time, 6 weeks instead of 12
Yeah.
weeks. But, you know, there are managers, supervisors across the district who want to give discipline when it says no and they've taken a day. And, and when you first sign up for FMLA, do the paperwork, you're temporarily approved for 15 days. Okay. And you got to go to the doctor within that time, do what you have to do. And sometimes they'll deny you, but you know why they'll deny you? Because something was wrong in the paperwork. So you're not fully denied. It's just you just got to get it fixed.
Yeah.
So they're very, it's a broad thing that it was denied. No, it was denied, but I have to get it fixed. And then you have days to go get it fixed and everything. So but they don't tell you. And how many times over the years they've just tried to discipline and this. And I think, you know, management staff at my center and they know because I've explained to them, this is it. If anything else happens, you're violating the FMLA. I tell them you can't ask for a doctor's note. That's interference. They can't
Yes.
ask for a doctor's note. And it's important because something very important. The Teamsters championed for FMLA years ago for it to happen. That was one of the many things that they championed for, and that was it. I mean, that was, it and what we do and what anyone does in all the business the Teamsters represent, especially with working a warehouse or driving a truck, it takes its toll on your body.
Absolutely.
And for whatever reason you might need it, or you might have a family member who has a serious condition that you need to take care of them. And I don't, it's like they're almost heartless sometimes. We don't care, but I think more and more and more the more we push back on them, I mean, in certain cases they'll start backing off, but there are so many people who still get violated. What about you in your building? One of the many things that your lovely manager does. Oh,
well,
violating.
well, she's a new manager, in case you can't tell from all the problems we've had with her in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've had we've had a relatively few problems with her FMLA. She's been very strict about it, about like making sure everybody gets their paperwork in, to make sure everybody gets the thing uh and gets the time off requested and all that kind of stuff. But we had who was it? We had one guy the other day that asked me about being able to go to an appointment, but like he didn't want to miss the whole day. And I had to have the conversation. I had to have a similar conversation with her about being able to take, half a day and
Mhm.
instead of a whole day. If he wants to come in, like you still got to give him some of those hours. He's still required. He's still guaranteed some hours if he wants to come in and work. Uh,
Yeah.
she argued with me back and forth, and was like, look, I'm not going to have this conversation with you. Like, I was on FMLA, intermittent FMLA, for 15 years, taking care of my
Mhm.
mother. I know how it
Yeah.
works. You have
Yeah.
been a manager for like 3 years. Like, you don't know how it works. So if you want
Yeah.
to have a conversation with your business agent, or not business, your labor manager, that's fine. But I'm right in this. So you can believe me or you cannot, but your labor managers are going to set you straight on this. Um, it,
Yeah.
it's it's something that a lot of managers are not going to tell you about, like I said earlier, because they're not incentivized to tell you about. They don't want people to have free days off. They want you to be afraid to have to take a day off to take care of your family or take care of yourself. um,
Mhm.
just like here in Texas with the heat, people that have had similar heat injuries in the past, um, are going to be more susceptible to it. And maybe talk to your doctor. If you've had a documented case of severe heat exhaustion in the past, talk to your doctor. Like, they would probably be willing to fill out your paperwork for FMLA to give you a couple of extra days off a month, a few extra days off a month for you to recover in case you get too hot. If you
Yeah.
have if you have had if you've had to have surgeries, whether on the job or off, that maybe your knees or your back or whatever else, like this but this job tears you down. This job will absolutely tear your body down. The company can
Absolutely.
preach and preach and preach about, oh, well, you got to stretch, and oh, you got to drink plenty of water, and oh, you got to do this and you got to do that. The fact of the matter is, people, like, there's only so much that a body can take. Some people's bodies can take more than others,
Yep.
but eventually something's going to break down. You're going to have a shoulder problem, you're going to have a back problem, a knee problem, a hip problem. And if you need to have FMLA, even if it's for a couple of days a year, just like, oh man, I strained my shoulder or something one day. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
want to, you may not have, it may not be bad enough to where you have to go out on workman's comp, but taking a couple of days off of FMLA and resting it instead of working until you fuck it up even more, and then you
Yep.
have to have all kinds of other problems.
Yeah.
That's something that the company doesn't take into consideration. They want you there on the job doing the job every day. To hell with you know what's your body. They want to preach, especially this time of year, about know your body, know the signs. But when you feel the signs, and
Yeah.
when you recognize those things, they want to get pissed off when you want to take a break or take a day off here or there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and one of the things also, if you come in and you're like anything else, you come in and all of a sudden, you know what, it's start time, it started, and you're not feeling well or whatever it is, you're allowed to use FMLA.
Yeah.
They can't say no.
No.
I mean, you need it, you use it. I mean, I just, you know, years ago, I had it. Manager violated me and wanted to do progressive discipline, and I even did it before start time, just the way it worked out. And he wanted to have someone, wanted me to do the route all day and everything. I'm like, no. And then so they wound up violating me. It wound up being a whole thing where I got the Department of Labor involved, and Department of Labor got in touch with UPS. The lawyers got involved. I mean, and this guy really, he was a real piece of work, a piece of,
Most of them are.
excrement. Yeah. And, I couldn't, like they even said to me, the Department of Labor, we can't tell them to fire him. We can tell them to suggest that they do, but they can't. Again, I can't tell them how to run the business, but I
Yeah.
got him demoted. So, you want to put me at risk? Okay, you're going to pay for it. Okay. So he got demoted, and you just got to be willing to stick up for everything. I mean, everything is just,
And
it's just ridiculous.
you've got to be willing to take it to that degree, get the Department of Labor
Always.
involved.
Yeah.
It's because if that manager gets away with violating you, then he's gonna try to get away with violating somebody else.
Yeah.
So, just like I have a lot of drivers that'll be like, oh well, I was over 9.5 on this days, but it was only by a couple of minutes. I'm not going to file. I'll look at them and go, if you were 1 minute late, do you think they'd write you up?
Exactly.
Absolutely, they would.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yep.
care if that. It's not about you getting $5 from the company. It's about them violating your rights and you
Yeah.
filing that grievance. And
It's the
just like
principle
just like with
also.
just like with the FMLA, you know, obviously you're going to file a grievance, but with federal law like that, you can certainly take it to the next level. Because not all locals and not all BAs are going to be as strong as one as others. So
Hmm.
file those grievances, but contact there. You can file claims on the Department of Labor website. Somebody will call you, talk to you about it. Like sometimes you just got to take it to that level, and they're more than willing to put your job at risk for this. So sometimes they got to feel the heat too. You got to put their
Yeah.
feet to the
And,
fire.
and also, sometimes you take FMLA and you'll have your own people be like, oh, he's this, he's that. Okay. Well, that I find to be even worse,
Oh, I know. Yeah,
and they're just, I mean, what are you doing? Get out of my business.
yeah,
It's people, your own people doing that, if it's, whatever, people you work with, or business agents saying things like that. That'd be crazy, right?
it would be.
That would be
too
just
too bad we don't
crazy.
have to imagine that.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
well, and
Exactly.
and I've heard people in my center say that about people that are on FMLA, and I'm like, look, like you don't know what everybody's going through. You don't
Yep.
know. I was open
Yep.
about my time with FMLA. Everybody knew about my mother suffering from
Hmm.
cancer, and nobody blamed me. But I was a steward. Everybody knew my business. I knew most people's businesses because they would come to me and tell me about it. And but like you don't know, you don't get to make that judgment on somebody. You don't know their life. Like that's ridiculous to even say something like that. If Hartford sent you the paperwork, your doctor filled it out and sent it back to Hartford, and Hartford approved it, then you have that right.
Yep. Yep.
So
I mean, it's that simple.
yeah, and
So,
you don't have to tell anybody about anything. You don't have to tell
nope.
anybody what it's for. That's
Nope.
between your doctor and Hartford, and that's it. The management doesn't need to know. All they need to know
Yep.
is that you're approved and that you need
Yep.
to be off on this certain day. One day, I was out on my air run. I had left the building and I was out doing my air. I had like 3 or 4 air. I was out in Lucas, and I got a phone call that my somebody had come by to visit my mother and found her on the floor. She had fallen, and I said, "That's it." I called my soup. I said, "I'm bringing it back in." I still had air on the truck. I said, I've got to come in. I've got to go take care of this.
Yeah.
And they wanted to be like, "Oh well, we'll get somebody out to take the route over, and can you finish
No.
the air?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I'm driving back to the center right now," and
Yeah.
that's what happened. And I never heard
Yeah.
anything else about it. But
Yeah.
you have that right. You need to realize that you have that right, that you can take those minutes. You can show up for work late if you need to. If you can, so long as you let them know ahead of time that, hey, I'm going to be, I've got to make this appointment, or I got to take my parent or sibling or a
Yeah.
kid to an appointment this early in the morning. I'll be there at 10. But I'm
Yeah.
going to show up to work.
Yeah. And it does say, in the FMLA law, you if you have appointments that you know about, you need
Yes.
to tell management.
Yes.
That's, it's the
Yep.
unforeseen part that,
Yeah.
you can't, obviously it's
Yeah.
unforeseen,
Yeah.
but if you have,
Yeah. Inform
appointments,
them
so
as soon as you can, as soon as you know about it, and then
yes,
you also can go on the web interface on Hartford and schedule it as well. But yeah,
yes,
do
yes, you can
inform
do all that.
management if it's a predictable appointment or something like that.
Yes,
Let them know ahead of time. But
yes. And if you're doing it, it's the, if you're doing like an intermittent, it's the regular call-in procedures. Okay.
yeah,
You call into your center team or text into the center team. And as soon as you can, whenever, as soon as practicable, it says
yeah,
at the in the law, you let Hartford know. But as long as you let your team know and you do what you have to do, but anyone who's got any questions, send it to our email and we will gladly respond with an answer because everyone goes through different situations,
absolutely.
and we'd love to help you get through those situations.
Yeah.
So, that's always there. But for myself and Garfield, thank you for listening and have a good day.
We all deal with national language, but on this podcast, when it comes to supplemental language, we deal mostly with the southern region. And as always, it's best to get advice from your local stewards or business agents. If you would like to reach out to us with any questions, we have an email address, 767realitycheck@gmail.com. That's 767realitycheck@gmail.com.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.